Well, hello everyone. Welcome to episode 13 of season 1 of the Justus Parrotta podcast. This is part 2 of looking at Alice Hong's But You're a Violinist. Why Do You Compose? We are now on the second objective of the composer performer. This time it is disseminating their own work. Under this list falls the three details: working with what they have, gradually incorporating other musicians, and gradually building to larger forces. So this is going to mostly focus on Alice Hong, in this particular video. One of the things I'm going to mention right away is that she enjoyed composing electronic music in her undergraduate, which electronic music is very versatile in terms of the three goals of the composer-performer, because it's very easy to get out there, very easy to produce, especially if you're working with musique concrète. We will get into that in the videos next week. And also it could be choreographed, and also you could use it with other musicians as well. And then her building up to gradually incorporating other musicians, so a trio and a viola and a flute duet. One of the things that I wanted to mention, she also worked with a cellist too, and then gradually building to larger forces. That is where this gets very interesting. There is this particular part of her dissertation that she talks about. I'm going to read portions of it. After the orchestra readings, when comments were passed around about each piece read, I was taken back when a helpful friend of mine began describing my piece as, quote, lacking forward thinking, a knockoff of works from the 1900s, not a useful addition to modern music, doesn't need to exist. And then he said to her, I'm just like, what? Perhaps I should just continue on as a violinist and forget the composition stuff. And then his last comment was, but for a non-composer, this piece is good. I'm just... Well, the next thing is this student that she ran into decided to prepare Alice with mock interviews, which she stumbled on every time, on everything she said. And then when she went to her live interviews, that was actually very different, because when she was interviewed by real composition professors, what happened is the first words of one of the composition professors, that was Paul Schoenfield, he said, this particular orchestral score was very beautiful. What? Yeah, what? This particular quote about the not useful and being good for a non-composer, or being a violinist and forget all the composition stuff. I have a slew of questions about that. Just why? This, I'm going to say this right away. I believe you can incorporate like maybe an extended technique or two, or pitch centricity, which Peter Van den Toorn talks about in his Stravinsky analysis, if you want to make it sound a little bit more contemporary, or just add some techniques under the surface. However, all I can say is this: the comments from the students the student, is, and the mock interviews, the way he conducted them, is just inappropriate and despicable beyond belief. Ever. Ever. End of story. No ifs, no ands, or any buts at all. And there's no justification at all in him saying that this is good for a non-composer. There is no justification in him saying she should continue on as a violinist and stop composing. There is no justification in saying this is a knockoff composition inspired by the early 1900s that shouldn't exist ever. 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 Period. End of story. It's just inappropriate. However, I will say about the composition that she did, if it's structurally sound and it's designed so the performers can perform it confidently and download patterns to automaticity, yes, it's a good composition. It's a very beautiful composition, and I agree with Paul Schoenfield. I will go on this matter in another video. However, this kind of shows how she progressed from electronics, small ensembles, to orchestra, because this was with an orchestra reading, and she eventually had her orchestra works done with larger orchestras, and we will get into that in the third objective of the composer-performer. See you in the next video.